Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. A couple of days ago, we reviewed Owlcat's AMA, and I mentioned that they had shared a detail with me regarding their next new game. Well, in this video, I want to talk about it. Owlcat has confirmed that their massive game that's going to be an Unreal Engine 5, fully voice acted, fully cinematic, will be Sci-Fi. Now, I know that's going to be unfortunate information for some of you because you are hoping for Warhammer Fantasy or some other non-sci-fi game, but for those of us who love that genre, this is really exciting stuff. Some people on Reddit were actually able to deduce this beforehand because Owlcat had put up some advertisements for job roles specifically in the sci-fi genre. But this is the first time that I've heard them officially confirm they're going to be diving into sci-fi. I think it's absolutely exciting. Many of you already know Mass Effect is my personal favorite video game series of all time. Really excited about Mass Effect 5. We're in kind of an interesting state right now because Owlcat actually said they're going to be ready to talk about their next game in a few months, not in a year or 2 years. And Mass Effect 5 should certainly be talked about next year. So it's possible that Owlcat is going to be ready to drop their sci-fi epic right around the time Mass Effect 5 is occurring. And on top of that, even though it's several years out, there's definitely a lot of people who believe Larian's next game is also going to be sci-fi. I haven't delved into all the little tidbits and secrets that have supposedly been sprinkled around, hinting that that might be the case, but I'll leave a link in the description to a video from a content creator called Spell and Shield. He reviews a lot of the same games that I do, and he has a video detailing all that information, talking about it. I would absolutely love it. 3 major studios all making sci-fi epic RPGs. Psst, that would be a fantastic year for me, no doubt about it. But anyway, circling back to Owlcat, the question becomes, which sci-fi IP are they actually going to be using? As I stated before, they are not creating their own IP, which means they're going to be making a game based on something that most likely we already know. In this video, I'm going to list 4 IPs that I would love to see them use, but I'm also very interested to hear what science fiction IPs would you all like to see them make a game out of. Let me know down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on the options that I list. Here at Slandered Gaming, we focus on CRPGs, and I've got a ton of content on Owlcat games, so if you're interested in that, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to get more videos. All right, first IP on the list, Battlestar Galactica. This is a TV show that was on Sci-Fi. Actually, there were 2 different versions of it. I like the more recent version that came out, I think, around maybe 2008. It's set in a future where humans have almost been completely wiped out by androids. What used to be a population of millions has been reduced to around 100,000. The majority of what's left of humanity has crowded onto a military vessel called the Battlestar Galactica. This creates a complicated political situation between the military personnel that was already on the ship and the civilians who are now crowding it and want a say in how decisions are made. There are many aspects of this series that would make it very interesting for Owlcat to make a game out of it. It's very famous for large-scale ship battles, and it would be amazing to see that represented within a video game. Of course, Owlcat is more so known for the mechanics of ground fights, and Battlestar Galactica is also very famous for its fights directly between humans and the android Cylons. So there'll be an opportunity for Owlcat to essentially create their own mechanics, explaining how you're able to build yourself up for those encounters. Battlestar Galactica is also famous for very complicated and passionate romances, which is the kind of content Owlcat is famous for as well. So there'd be a great opportunity to lean into their strengths. I do have a couple of reservations regarding Owlcat going down this route. One, could they properly represent the ship battles in a video game format? Of course, there's ship combat in Rogue Trader, and it's okay. It's not bad, but it's certainly not to the level that I think it would need to be in order to make a Battlestar Galactica game something that fans of the series would really enjoy and feel like it was accurate for the type of ship battles we saw on the show. So that would be one question. And then another issue comes from the standpoint of marketing. Battlestar Galactica is absolutely sci-fi. It's very strong sci-fi. However, it is noted for having virtually no aliens. Even the androids always look either like humans or they look like machines. So you don't really have talking aliens in this show. And I think for a lot of people, when they think sci-fi, they think aliens, they want to see aliens. The fact that Starfield had little to no aliens was definitely a weakness or issue that many players brought up. And so I think if Owlcat made this game and basically marketed it as, you know, their sci-fi epic RPG, and then people came in and found out, oh, actually there's no aliens in it, could potentially be a problem. But I love the series. I love the writing. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and to see it represented in video game format would be amazing. Next up on the list, Farscape. Farscape is a show about humans and aliens attempting to escape from a corrupt military group called Peacekeepers. One of the fascinating things about this show is that it was made by the Jim Henson Company, which of course is very famous for puppeteering. They took responsibility for creating all of the aliens, and they absolutely look fantastic. Consequently, Farscape has a wide array of different races and creatures that you could possibly bring into a video game, and I'm really excited about what character creation could potentially be like if Owlcat really flexed their muscles. Also, political intrigue is everywhere in this series, but it's much different from Battlestar Galactica. As opposed to humans, both military and civilian, trying to figure out how to live with each other and survive in this new world, it's instead about trying to figure out how to survive as a person who's on the bottom of the totem pole and attempting to escape from a corrupt military group that seems to have their hands in everything that's happening throughout the galaxy. Once again, romance is a big part of the series. In fact, Farscape is the introduction of Claudia Black, who will probably be very famous for people in my community for having voiced Morgan in the Dragon Age series. So between the politics, the political intrigue, the amazing array of aliens that Owlcat could potentially pull from, I think there's a lot of interesting things that they could do with this IP. The one reservation that I have regarding this is, again, Farscape is owned, as far as I know, still by the Jim Henson Company, and I don't think they really allow for rated R properties to be made with their IPs. So if Owlcat decided to do a game in this universe, they might have to tone it down. Farscape was known for being less violent than other similar sci-fi shows, and there was absolutely, as far as I remember, like no real cursing, you know, or things of that nature. It dealt with adult themes, but it wasn't. It was a show that you could probably have a teenager watch and not feel and not have many reservations about it, right? Which is not the type of games that Owlcat has been known for. So they'd have to pull back a little bit from that standpoint. But otherwise, I feel like there's a lot of great stuff to be used there, and this would be a great IP for them to dive into. Next up on the list is a sci-fi show that I've actually watched most recently, and a ton of you have commented that you would love to see this show continue and that you would like just about any developer to pick it up: The Expanse. Hundreds of years in the future, humans have colonized the solar system. This has created 3 different factions of humans that all battle each other for supremacy: Earth, Mars, and Belters, which are a collection of different colonies that are scattered across the asteroid belt. One of the fascinating things about The Expanse is that it feels like it could really happen. The way that these relationships have basically fallen apart and now all 3 groups are battling together feels like a quite natural evolution from where we are right now. So obviously the political intrigue is fantastic. All of these groups are basically battling over limited resources, and trying to figure out how do they all work together as they continue to expand throughout the entire galaxy. This creates a great opportunity for Owlcat to build up the different factions and who their leaders are and create interesting situations for the player to work through. Wars are constant and there's lots of fighting. In the Expand story, the main characters had a decked out spaceship, but space battles were not really at the forefront, and it was more about finding interesting ways to use their ship in order to conquer certain situations. Perhaps most importantly, part of the reason people keep asking for a new season of The Expanse is that it ends at a great place for the story to continue. The TV show was actually based on a series of books which goes far, far beyond from where the TV show ends, so it would be quite easy for Owlcat to step in and create more content. Not necessarily about the main characters we see in the show, but separate characters where they would have more freedom to craft the type of stories that they want to. Again, I think a ton of players will be interested in this. It would be fascinating to play through a sci-fi epic of this type. Unfortunately, it does suffer from a similar issue as Battlestar Galactica, in that aliens are not at all at the forefront. And so you have a similar issue of people perhaps not feeling like it's sci-fi enough. But I feel like because it stopped so recently, most people are very familiar with this particular content, and they'll be much more accepting of it not having any aliens within it. And finally, the very last option on the list, and come on now, you all already knew I had to put this on there, Shadowrun. Shadowrun is a tabletop series that combines cyberpunk, urban fantasy, and crime all mixed together. This means you have a world where you can play as a troll who fights against cyborgs and has magicians as party members. Everybody all coexist in the same ecosystem. It's absolutely fascinating and fantastic. The tabletop series was popular, and then a developer named Harebrained Schemes made 2 CRPGs out of the IP, and that skyrocketed the popularity as well. So many people have asked for a continuation of this series and for some other developer to do more with it, now that it appears Harebrained Schemes might be close to closure if they have not already closed. I'm definitely on that list of people who would love to see more Shadowrun content. I played both CRPGs that Harebrained Schemes did. Thought they were absolutely great, but they were also very, very low budget. Seeing Owlcat take this IP and dump a ton of money into it to bring out the absolute best would be amazing. Obviously, the character creation opportunities would be fantastic based upon all the options that you have, and the conversations are really cool too, because you have these weird creatures who really shouldn't exist next to each other having regular conversations like there's nothing weird about it. Industrial espionage and corporate warfare are standard parts of Shadowrun, so it should be very easy for Owlcat to take this IP and give us fascinating stories to participate in. There's also a robust mechanic system that I'm absolutely sure Owlcat would do a fantastic job of adapting. And of course, as I already mentioned, there's a built-in fan base with a ton of people who are looking forward to seeing more of this franchise. The only question I would have is it enough? Those Harebrained Scheme games, they sold well enough to keep the developer going, but they were never smash hits. Would it be worth it for Owlcat to dump a ton of money into a game specifically regarding this property? Would they have confidence that they would be able to earn their money back? I don't know, but I would absolutely love to see them try. And those are my picks. These are the 4 IPs that I would love to see Owlcat dive into. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What would you love to see them do? Keeping in mind that they've already mentioned they are not going to be doing Star Wars. They don't have rights to the license at this time. So if Star Wars was an option, absolutely, it would have been on this list, but it's not. So outside of Star Wars, what would you love to see? What's a game from them that you'll be interested in buying? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.